They would say, dress more seriously, you need to look a little older so people take you more seriously, you need to be much more straight, don't play, don't be silly. And all those things that actually led me to success, which was my femininity, my creativity, and my power, started fading away, and eventually I burned out. And I remember crying on the floor and thinking, maybe that's all wrong, maybe this success and money is not for me, maybe I should just go marry a rich man. Then COVID started, so I had an opportunity to review my life, and I met my business partner, who was the first man who told me, oh, why don't you actually use your femininity as a power, because this is where your strength is. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah. I'm like, what? This is a thing?
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Her Way. Today, I'm so delighted to welcome Mariya Grinina, who is the founder of Feel, a feminine embodiment platform. I'm really curious to start with, rather than doing the usual kind of introductions, I just want to go straight into the reason we're both here, which is femininity. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to hear about your journey with the feminine. And I know that's a really big question, and that's intentional, because I want to leave it with you to tell us what the most important aspects are, whether that's how it began or how it's going or just one highlight. I think it would be wonderful for our audience to just get a feel for what brings you to the feminine.
Feminine is the greatest power. And I've been lucky to grow up in a family where feminine has been honored. I'm from a more traditional background, and even though I'm coming from Kazakhstan, well, women's rights are still not at the appropriate level. My family has always been about stimulating and encouraging the feminine side of myself as something to embrace. And the words of my grandmother, I still remember, she's always been telling me, please always keep dancing, and always, please do not ever stop to romanticize your life. This is where your power is. And she's been the example of a woman in her power. She's always been beautiful, creative, successful. She's still in her age now, in her late 70s, making a lot of her own money, and is still dating. At this age, she says, well, Mariya, after 60, you need to have your man a little bit younger than you. Because, I mean, she has everything: love, beauty, abundance, power, money, creativity. She writes her poetry, and seeing her as an example has always been really empowering for me. And this is what I'm seeing as a really important part of us women stepping into our power, is to see an example. Because on the other side, the stories that we hear about the feminine from a very young age, from all the fairy tales, from Disney movies, that feminine is rather like a weak, soft thing that needs to be rescued by the strong masculine. And this is not the story that we should continue living and passing on. So for me, feminine is the greatest power. And when I was a child, I would nourish it and I would succeed. I'm an A student. At the same time, I'm a rebellious girl. I've never had issues with getting what I want. And at the same time, I never overworked hard. I finished school earlier than everybody because that was easy for me. I have the right level of both discipline and creativity. Mm-hmm. And when I came to London, I started my first business at the age of 21. I got sponsored by university. I received entrepreneur visa, and by beautiful circumstances of the universe, I met my first investor, who then funded my first tech startup. I learned so much. I raised £1 million from 11 really serious, amazing, successful investors. And in that journey, I had to unlearn my femininity, because all those amazing men, from the greatness of their hearts, because they gave me money, they gave me their trust, they wanted me to succeed, so they would teach me how to succeed. And the way to succeed was very masculine. I had to, they would say, dress more seriously. You need to look a little older so people take you more seriously. You need to be much more straight, uptight, don't play, don't be silly. And all those things that actually led me to success, which was my femininity, my creativity, and my power, started fading away. And with that, success started feeling not only difficult to achieve, but also quite intangible. And eventually I burned out. And I remember like crying on the floor and thinking, okay, maybe that's all wrong. Maybe this success and money is not for me. Maybe I should just go back to Kazakhstan and marry a rich man like people are telling me to do. And that time COVID started. So I had some space and opportunity to actually step back and review my life. And I met my business partner, who was the first man who told me, oh, why don't you actually use your femininity as a power? Because this is where your strength is. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, feminine leadership. I'm like, what? This is a thing? So he supported me to bring back what actually made me strong in the beginning, alongside my new experience, where, of course, experience matters. And with that, I started the platform Feel, which supports women to step on this path of understanding what is a feminine as a power, because we have way too many disempowering stories about what feminine is and a lot of confusion. And with feminism, there are a lot more confusing stories that take us way too far onto the other side that is also really dangerous. And this is why this topic in a holistic perspective is so important today.
So many beautiful threads in what you've just said that I would love to pick up on. I can't even choose where to go. But one thing that stood out to me was the fact that it really took a man saying to you, giving that support around your feminine in a way to give you the encouragement to go in that direction. And what comes to my mind is something that I sometimes struggle with is how do the feminine and the masculine support each other in rising together? And I feel that we do have so few examples of that. And it's really magical when it happens.
Well, this is the main problem, actually, in the world. The problem is not that we do not have enough feminine, is that we do not understand how the feminine and masculine work together in a way that creates a sacred union and balance and empowerment. This is something very few people, only in small niche, more spiritual communities discuss. But in the global scale, especially in the business world, this is completely unknown. We talk a lot about how feminine is women are making less money, women are underfunded, they are weak victims, we blame everyone. It's like, this is really the toxic side of the feminine. The feminine also has toxic traits, important to highlight. And then we have still a lot of inequality, a lot of ways that women are indeed disempowered in the economic sense. And what actually brings back balance and power is when feminine and masculine meet. And to understand it, it's much better to look inside first. Because in every human being, there is feminine and masculine. And if we take women, the only way for us to be successful is to have absolute sacred union inside of us between our own inner masculine and our own inner feminine. And the way it looks like is when we have balance of we're able to be accountable, responsible, we're able to create discipline, to create direction, to create focus. This is our masculine side. We can't forget it. We can't be like, oh, I'm all about female empowerment and femininity. Now I'm going to be soft and in chaos all the time. No, we need to honor that side of us inside of ourselves. And then we have our feminine side, which is about flow and maybe a little bit of chaos and creativity and nourishment and pleasure and sensuality, on all those qualities that allow us to focus on the process and nourish the process and everything and everyone within. Then these two meet and create balance and power. And when they do not meet, we go either into the side of I can't do anything. I should just flow as if and just like whatever
Yeah.
things come, and we can't create anything. And we can also then from that side blame the structure. Oh, I can't do because it's all against women. Or we go to the other side. I really want to hold it together. I want to make money. I'm going to work hard. And then we just kill our own essence, burn out, get stressed and sick. So either side doesn't work, only when we are in sacred union together. Same as on the external. Because what happens now in the world, we are way too far in the masculine. So we're focused on goals without thinking about the process. And this is why nature is dying out, economies are breaking down, families are breaking down so much faster, because there is no this beautiful feminine that would bring things into balance. So the key here is about balance and not so much about, oh, now I just want to be all in my feminine. And this is, I feel, is a very important point, again, for today's world.
So crucial, really. I would love for everyone to hear this.
Yeah.
It is the key, as you say, and this sort of contrast between cycles and linearity, for example.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
another thing that I thought of as you were describing that, you know, we're so much in the linear, in that masculine mode of what's the next goal, what is our next target, that yeah, we neglect how things are cyclical and how they're allowed to rise and fall, to be created and destroyed, that this is natural and that there is both birth and death everywhere in nature. And to only focus on growth is unrealistic,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And so I'd love for you to comment, if you can, on how we bring all those beautiful principles of balance, of union, into the practical world of work. And whether you can give any examples in your own professional experience of how you've applied that.
Yeah. The thing is, women are those who do that. We are those who bring balance and the understanding of cyclical nature. And unless we stay in the victim mindset and keep blaming the external structures, the balance is not going to happen, because this is not a masculine role. They are not going to bring it to the world. This is our role.
We don't
Yeah.
know this.
Right? So we are a representation of nature. By the way, nothing in nature is ever linear. Linear is just a very short-lived energy. So, of course, there are linear things where we can move towards the goal, but it's always short-lived. It's inside of a cycle. It is not the whole story. And everything that is natural and long-term is cyclical, like cycles of astrological cycles of life, cycles of a plant being burst or a baby being burst or anything. Everything natural is linear or non-linear and cyclical. And therefore we have, as women, our cycle that is extremely obvious. Men also have cycles, daily cycles, hormonal cycles, etc. But we have a very obvious cycle that teaches us about the cyclical nature, because we're also mothers, so we need to understand that inherently in our bodies. So we know that. And if we embrace our cyclical nature first within our own bodies and our hormones, then we can, in an empowered and informed way, bring it forward into the world. And if businesses have more of a cyclical understanding, we'll have way more sustainability and long-term thinking, as opposed to this, what's happening now. We have a linear, goal-oriented mindset and think that this is how it has to be long-term and forever, trying to live an eternal summer. And this is why it doesn't work out. Of course, it works out short-term. People can make a lot of money. They focus on the thing, get there. But that one goal, after it's reached, is going to disappear. And if we were to orient onto a long term, we have to understand it's always about a cycle. So let things move at a different pace. They're not at all times moving in the same pace. It just doesn't exist. And this is what we as women can bring forward into the corporate world and into everything else.
Yes, the idea of the leadership of the feminine is so radical in a way. It's something that I personally loved about my discoveries of moving further into the feminine, and particularly in the case of spirituality, even around this idea of twin flames, which is very popular. that the feminine leads.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the paradigm that we're used to being in.
Yeah.
But it does make so much sense to me in terms of how connected we are as the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And that it feels like the energy that we bring is very much directly from source,
Mm-hmm.
let's say.
Yeah, of course.
And the masculine receives our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, we receive from the masculine,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a very equal exchange. And the feminine doesn't have to justify her existence either.
Of course.
And,
Right?
and that I feel as well is very empowering in a different way than we think about empowerment, right? And so how would you contrast the ideas of empowerment that so many of us are advocating as a result of feminist movements and as a result of actually wanting equality in a very masculine sense, as opposed to how does the feminine lead?
Mm-hmm. Feminine leads through inspiration. Yeah, so we inspire others to rise. We do not lead through blaming, which is now happening a lot, and that's why we're so frustrated why things don't change. We can rise and inspire. With that, we need to acknowledge that unfortunately not everywhere in the world is the same situation. In many places in this world, it's still very difficult for women to have a say, to have an opinion. And even where I come from, it's very frustrating when people see you as a woman and do not even consider that you can have any relevant opinion. This is very, very present in where I'm coming from. And I can see that there, unfortunately, there is not much I can do, literally, because I can't fight a man back. And the only force that they're used to is fighting. So in places like Europe, we have a really special privilege because, let's be honest, there is much less to complain here about. There are the opportunities that we have as women, the amount of empowerment programs, the amount of attention even the press gives to this subject. We are being celebrated as leaders, and we need to embrace that more and more. And by being seen in our true power, which means with our feminine balance, we are able to inspire others to rise and create role models that will then inspire other girls to rise as well. And in terms of empowerment, again, I probably said it so many times, but this is all about rising in our power, but not through blaming. Because it really hurts me how now a lot of people blame so much in the press, on LinkedIn, in posts, and they get a lot of attention because people love that. People have, oh yes, they're wrong. Look at them. They're not investing in women. Let's all talk about it in comments forever. So a lot of women promote female empowerment as something that is just victimized and blaming. And that is really not beautiful and not inspiring, not creative, but gets a lot of attention. And I hope that changes by more of us women embracing our powerful qualities and not toxic qualities, and showing to the world what's possible when we rise by actually creating something, building something, nourishing something, making a difference, as opposed to getting attention in the wrong way.
Very, very inspiring. Absolutely. And on that note, what does success from the feminine point of view actually look like?
Well, I would say success is probably a different thing for everyone. And I feel like in the feminine, we always can go back to one thing about feminine cycles or natural cycles or cyclical nature. And perhaps, in my opinion, it could look like long-term success. When we build something that is, regardless of our short-term desires, can last. It's like creating a baby. When we create a baby, we're not thinking, okay, this baby in 10 years is going to give me that return, and 20 years is going to give me that return. We're thinking about, okay, this baby is going to be healthy, it's going to be good to this world, and it's going to have the direction that it needs to have. And my best intention is for them to bring value into this world and to be happy. So same for a business. When you build a business, maybe we can think of how can this evolve not in an extra controlled way where we are literally manipulating every single thing about this, but something that has its soul on its own and has values and mission, but evolves there with the world in the aligned cycle that it needs to evolve with. So a little less control and a little more nurturing, a little more soft motherly direction that is more about overall impact on the world as opposed to short-term goals and benefits and profits.
Yes, definitely. That that really resonates with me, and I feel that there can be so much more that potentially we can achieve from that paradigm if we can successfully introduce it in the way that we work. And probably, you know, the world requires leaders to take on that role among women and really imbue it throughout the business. So, you know, you're talking about from the point of view of strategy, but equally how we treat people, how we work with people. What do you think is the balance between needing hierarchy structure in those relationships in order for things to flourish versus how do we introduce nurture as well?
This is an important question, and I will tell you my opinion.
Yes.
It's just my opinion. But if we are building anything impactful and big enough and serious that is going to bring value, it's again about a very careful balance of feminine and masculine. This is where structure is, as everywhere, is very important. We have the river that flows and we have the shores of the river. If shores of the river, the masculine is weak, the river is just going to spill out and never reach its destination. So if we are building something, there needs to be hierarchy and structure. There needs to be clarity and focus, and there needs to be a person who sets that clarity and focus. Otherwise, it's chaos and confusion. This is where there is too much feminine and therefore zero clarity. And in that situation, feminine feels unsafe. Feminine is like, okay, what am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to listen? And this doesn't actually create any even like beauty or pleasure in the process. So there needs to be very clear direction and leadership in this way. So I'd say that is important. We can't just say, let's now be a very happy place where everyone's doing whatever they want and in the flow. But there are places for that we can create. We can create a container for experiences where it's all about the flow. But again, somebody has to create the container around it for the experience to be nourishing.
And do you think that responsibility is also with women, or should we always be working with the masculine in some way? Even as, let's say, a woman is a founder and CEO of a company, or in your example, have you brought in the masculine to work with you because you want that structure?
I do both. So sometimes I outsource the masculine. Some outsource it to my business partner or to, because I need to do something else. And sometimes I embody my masculine, which is also an embodiment practice. There is balance in it. I don't think you can be a CEO without healthy masculine. That is just impossible. Embodiment training of the masculine is also very important if we were to build anything concrete. Now, being in your masculine is exhausting. And I've done special embodiment, really powerful rituals when I embody my masculine. It's extremely exhausting. It's hard. I really don't like it, but it's essential and important. So I think every woman needs to understand how to embody their masculine so that they can understand men better and understand how things work in real life. But it's not my thing. I know how to do it. I will do it. I'll always keep the discipline because I want to create things. But then being in my feminine is so much more natural and I love it so much more. And so when I want to do that, I will outsource it to either a created structure. For example, if I want to create, I don't know, YouTube series, I want to do it in my feminine. I want to have fun recording it. I don't want to have a proper script or whatever. But I'm going to create a plan first. I'm going to wear my masculine energy. I'm going to create a plan, structure, calendar dates, specific recording instructions, maybe some scripts, allocated guests. I'm going to do all the admin work, which will create the structure for me first. And then I can put it to the side, follow it, and be in my feminine. And this is how I can outsource it, but not to the person, but to the work I've done before. So the two always come together.
You actually summarized it so clearly. I think that is very applicable. It's not something out here that feels just about energy, just about balance. It's really, okay, practically speaking, there are things we can do as women that respect our nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That are not causing us to burn out, to feel exhausted, to want to give up because we're too much in the masculine mode and we're not even aware that we are. And, you know, that's one way of noticing that and compensating for it. But I wonder what you think of, you know, what is holding women back right now from being in their feminine? What are some of I mean, you've worked with many women at this point, supporting them into embodiment of the feminine. What are the most common blocks that you come across?
Yeah. Confusion about what is feminine power. Yeah, so very often, the most common thing in a big city like London, oh, I'm way too much in my masculine. I want to be in my feminine. But people don't really know what does it mean to be more in my feminine. And again, being more in my feminine means, first of all, making your feminine feel safe by having a clear masculine structure without overusing it and over being there. So this balance is what is key, but people don't see it like that. They think, oh, I just need to dress up more feminine.
Just be extra sexy.
Yeah, which is also really great. People don't appreciate pleasure in this whole process and sexuality, which is really the key. This is where it all starts. And the reason sexuality and feminine power were suppressed simultaneously over hundreds of years together, because this is where the whole power actually begins, an embodied sense of it. So any woman who wants to be more in their feminine, they need to look into how do they treat their womb, how do they treat their yoni, how do they actually treat their pleasure, because sensuality is a feminine quality and pleasure is a nourishment for a woman. It works a little differently with men, separate subject, but for a woman it's extremely important. And this is another place that is being overlooked. And yeah, I guess, what else? I can say so many things here.
Certainly I can relate to how pleasure is not even present at all.
Yeah.
You know, the workplace is so divorced from that. It feels so clinical. People are in cubicles. Okay, things are evolving, things are changing. But still, at its origin, the office was somewhere for the man to escape to from the family circle and to be with other men. Yeah. And we see this so clearly in shows like Mad Men, for example, you know, where the origins of the ways that we work today are very much from the masculine. And so how do you think we bring more of the feminine into it?
So bringing pleasure means bringing more feminine. And it's as simple as when you work from home, work from an office, having continuous pleasure breaks. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that apparently like just touching yourself is a whole feminine practice. I always touch myself, which when I watch videos of me, I'm like, this is so weird. But then when I did embodiment courses and now as I see how other people teach, it's actually a practice. So just making sure that from time to time you touch yourself and give yourself a beautiful hug or a little massage on the neck, and making sure that you stay in the body and feel good. Then eating food slowly, smell, like having smells in your office, like some rose oil or whatever you want, and just putting it onto yourself and smelling it from time to time. That continuously helps us land in the body and therefore stay more connected and more healthy, because that connection gives us better habits. And of course, paying attention to what does my body need? How can I make it in more pleasure? Even dressing up. When a lot of women in big cities, we wear extremely uncomfortable shoes, a lot of pressure on the belly in tight jeans, tongues that are continuously pressing against the butt. Like all those things are constantly pressing on the body and decreasing sensation. And therefore we feel less and we feel less pleasure. So changing that is a big deal. I don't wear any jeans ever. I don't want to put any pressure on my womb because my womb is sacred. It's much more important for me to be comfortable and be in pleasure than wear tight jeans. And so changing priorities and prioritizing pleasure over everything else makes you much more connected to your feminine and healthy.
Thank you for giving us permission to do
Right?
that. Yes. And in a way, it seems crazy that we have to say that, that we are so disconnected from our fundamental needs in the feminine that you didn't even know why you were doing it.
Yeah, that's so helpful.
Yeah. Soothing, grounding.
And I must say, a lot of women dress up this way, like tight jeans, high heels, to feel more attractive. But in a crazy, counterintuitive way, actually, when we feel really comfortable in the body and really feel the body and experience more pleasure, it's very hard to experience a lot of pleasure when your tongues are just cutting through your.
I really relate to this.
Yes, it's just if it's the opposite of that, really comfortable in the body, way more attractive. And you can see that, like, for some reason, the magnetism around the woman when she's comfortable and in pleasure is so much higher than if she's just kind of really tight everywhere and like has all these things on her that numbs her. And let's say let's just be in pleasure.
Yes. And in saying that, you're making me think about another thing that I'm really curious to know your wisdom on, which is how does the feminine evoke the masculine, right? Going back to my question at the very beginning in terms of, all right, how do we support each other, but also how do we bring out the best in each other, the healthy feminine, the healthy masculine. Part of that is the feminine being relaxed in her own body, in her pleasure, bringing that energy. What else?
So the feminine is this Shakti, is this power, is this expression, is this aliveness. So when we understand that, we can understand, okay, what do I do to embody more of that? Which means, how do I embody more aliveness? Yeah, that's why pleasure, just the conversation we had before, this is what it does. Be more alive, more in pleasure, more connected. And that inspires the masculine. They are, if women try more of that masculine embodiment, they'll understand, oh my God, how tired they are to hold everything together at all times. Their embodiment is very strong and stiff and rising up if it's healthy masculine embodiment. And they hold things. They hold your river. They hold the feminine inside. So it's hard. It's heavy. They love it. This is what gives them purpose, if we talk in traditional polarity sense. But what makes them feel like it's all worth it is to see that aliveness and to feel that aliveness, because that's what they are there for. This is what they die for. This is what they live for. This is what they work for. So us being more in that and bringing it to the table, and maybe I'm talking more about relationships, but bringing that sensuality, bringing the life, bringing the aliveness is deeply inspiring, and that's where they can see, this is what I work for and this is what I die for. And in the business sense, this is where, when we thrive in ourselves, where we bring our ideas, where we bring what's here, really, instead of trying to cut us off from that femininity and creativity and playfulness, but actually bringing it to the table, nourishes them. Again, when it's a healthy masculine. This is in the ideal world. Right now, it's not really the case. So a lot of people will be way uptight in their thinking and in a far masculine, imbalanced masculine. So most of them, unfortunately, will be triggered, resistant, or would be misunderstand anything like that. So we also have to be realistic of where we are now as a society. Now, when we learn to embody both and play with it, we can have an intuition about what is appropriate where, and also still have an understanding that Ideal world, maybe something else would happen, but in the current world, I also need to be smart about how I show my energy.
But I really want to live in that world.
Yeah, of course.
And part of what Her Way is about is bringing that world a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Right? So is there anything we can do?
Showing the example.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening now. You can see already that the countries that are led by women are having higher quality of life. Businesses that are led by women who know what they're doing, who have the balance of their feminine and masculine, are doing way better and outperform the traditional structures. So it takes time, but the more we show that example, the more we show like, hey, us being us is actually great for the economies and for societies and for families and for relationships. People are not stupid, right? They want to live a better life. They'd be like, okay, those guys, it feels like they're doing something right. Maybe we should listen. So that feels to me like the most feasible way, because just fighting the system doesn't help.
I completely agree with you. I came from a place of very strong feminism, activism for many years of my life. And only through my spiritual journey, in fact, did I come to appreciate the idea of non-duality, the idea of what you resist persists. This is a cliche, but there is truth in it that for as long as you're against something, the thing that you're against is something that you believe in, right? and we can't fight each other forever. And that's why I feel so strongly about this movement. And that we urgently need to find harmonious ways of coexisting, and not just coexisting, but rising together. The feminine, the masculine, within ourselves, outside of ourselves. And women like you are doing this work, which is wonderful and deserves to be heard, deserves a platform. Women in their everyday lives, what do you say to them about just the small ways? Because we're overwhelmed all the time by advice on you can optimize, right?
Yes.
But I think we're tired of that in a way. That's another masculine paradigm. It's like, oh, let's just focus on self-development and do these 10 things in your day and you'll be good, right? What are really achievable things that you teach in your platform to women?
Yeah, so this 3-hour morning routine, wake up at 5 a.m., I'm not about that. First of all, women need more sleep. Let's really make a point out of it. This 5 a.m. club, again, by a wonderful male author, this is for guys. This is great. My boyfriend wakes up before me, does his thing, and then I wake up and really nourished in my body, because women hormonally, they need more sleep. Please sleep. Don't do that. But I'm all about small things that you can make. This is why we started Feel. Feel is a daily embodiment practice.
Right.
Because this is where everything starts. It's not enough to go to a feminine embodiment retreat once a year and find suddenly you are connected to your feminine. The real change starts in a small step that you do every day. And that small step, I believe, should be a daily practice that involves your body. Because your body is feminine, your body has a cycle, your body has feelings, emotions, sensations. Every day they're different. They're never going to be the same. This is where you learn to listen to the wisdom that your body holds. And your body is a reflection of the world outside of you. So if you master your body, you master your life. And then if you can, commit, which is a masculine thing.
I felt that one.
Yeah. You can commit
Commit.
and actually have a discipline
Yeah.
of pleasure, discipline of the feminine, which is, wow, discipline and feminine. Yes, you have to have a discipline of the feminine and come back to your body every day and best in the morning, feel your body, breathe, touch, self-massage, face massage, voice activations, all different things that make you feel like you are in your body, you're feeling your cycles, you're feeling your emotions. You're going to become an embodied woman naturally and inevitably, because this is how it works. You activate it through the body, and you don't need to do it for 3 hours. You can do it for 10 minutes. But as long as you do it every day, your body learns that, oh, here actually I'm getting listened to, I'm getting taken care of, I'm connected, I have a role, and it's going to start to communicate to you way more and give the wisdom that we all need. We have this organism that knows it all.
Yes, yes. And I almost feel sad for my body for the many, many years that I neglected. When I heard something very powerful recently, which is that the body is always trying to help us. It's our greatest ally. You know, I mean, it is us.
Yes.
It's almost strange to talk about it as a separate entity, but we do, and we think about it that way. But it was so poignant for me to hear this and to really feel the truth of it, that even in disease, even in the symptoms of pain that we have, that's the body still helping us, locking away things for us that we've decided that we don't want in our consciousness. Right. I think the health and vibrancy of the body for women is so crucial also to her success. I don't want to separate these worlds of relating, health, work, you know. What are, again, some very simple things that we should be aware of as women that maybe we don't know about our body, and how to help the body be our greatest support?
I think there's one thing that we can do is to live a womb-centered life. Oh, we're a mind-centered society, but the womb is where all humans come from, and it has this inherent wisdom, and it doesn't take shit from us. Anytime we're neglecting the body, it is given the sign immediately. Of course, depending on where you are in your life, whether it's premenstrual or you're being fertile and menstruating, or if it's going through menopause or later, but in that cycle, womb is going to tell us you didn't eat enough, you ate at the wrong time, you slept badly, you traveled too much, you've been stressed out, you've had a lot of pain, a lot of sadness. Anytime we experience something that feels off to the body and don't take care of that, the womb is going to tell us. And if we don't take contraceptive pills, which my personal opinion, I wouldn't take. And if we can connect to this natural cycle, we can learn from the womb. Okay, so my body actually needs a little more food at this time and a little less in that time. I need to make sure if I travel that I have a lot of rest time afterwards, or I need to make adjustments in a way I sleep or anything like that. We can learn from the womb right away. Maybe it's a little harder to do it from our hands or from our shoulders. Of course, we can learn a lot from them, but the womb is going to tell us everything about the stress levels and nutrition, relationships, sexuality, everything. So I feel like that's just the organ we can listen to and already understand everything about ourselves.
And I can testify to this. I just want to say that I have spoken to and listened to my womb, and there is a very clear voice that we can hear. It's astonishing. Yeah. Again, a superpower that we don't know about, and an intimate advisor that we have available to us at all times.
Yeah, and again, this is a power that men don't have. This is why we don't have that much information about it. Because if they had it, we would have tons of research, a huge amount of encouragement, permission, posters, everything. But we are being researched properly only in the last 30, 40 years. So it's something that we need to connect to intuitively and understand, hey, if we have this superpower and others don't, why don't we actually embrace that more as a source of our power?
Absolutely. And on the point of superpowers and listening to the feminine, I want to bring this back to your story. And really with her way as well, the idea is that we tell the stories of women who are doing things differently, building things differently. And we hear the most raw moments of, you even referred to this in the beginning, where, you felt like everything was falling apart. You just wanted to cry. And yet you continued, because I think that part, that yet she continued and persisted, is the part that can be the most easy point for women to give up because of all the pressures around us. And yeah, if you have a
totally
story like that.
I did cry a few times in business meetings. One moment that taught me a lot, I remember when I'm like 21. I'm a really a newbie. I learned everything on YouTube about business, and suddenly I have all this stuff. And my one of my advisors and investors into my company, he was really mentoring me, which I'm so grateful for. By the way, mentors, coaches are super important. We also, as women, underappreciate that. I think like men are much more onto it. So my mentor, he was on a business meeting with somebody, like it was my business meeting that he led for, I don't remember what. And I remember that I didn't do well. And then he really told me off, like really aggressively, the way men tell each other off. And I now know it's fine for men. But for me, it was my first time I got so told off so aggressively. I went to the bathroom and cried. But then I came back and I sat him and I told him, this doesn't work for me. You can't talk to me like that. This doesn't work. This doesn't help. If you want me to learn, you need to encourage me. Tell me about my mistakes. Tell me about where I can do better. But talking to me like that doesn't work. And he said, yeah, oh, thank you for letting me know. And he never did that again. And he really adjusted how he would speak to me about problems and difficulties and mistakes. And that was really empowering because like, oh, I have a voice. I actually can tell people what works for me. And this is really important for us to remember because again, this is a pivotal moment where you can become a victim and be like, oh, they told me off. Or you can step up and say how things work.
I love that so much. I can see you in that situation. And the fact that you came back with fire and that the deep feminine, I don't want to say the dark feminine, but she was there speaking her need.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful way of flipping the script and going from what could have been an example of, oh, I feel like the victim and I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to say how this man didn't treat me well, right? Instead, just own your need, express your need, and make the request.
Yeah, and people usually say yes. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, just make your request, and people usually say yes.
And especially the masculine to the feminine loves to say yes.
Yeah, of course. And he wants to win. He wants to know what to do, and he's also confused.
Yes.
And here you are telling him exactly what you need, and you're like, okay.
This is really great in business, in relationships. I think we don't do it enough. Maybe because we have fears that it'll be too much. That expressing our needs is difficult, but ultimately it's the only way.
Yeah, and the men love it so much. Here on this last note, I'll say like I've really learned this in my relationship before in relationships, and this is such a common thing for women. It'd be like, oh, I want him to know what I want. I want him to surprise me. I want him to really guess.
The psychic man that is so common. I meet that all the time.
Like, and then frustrated. Why didn't he buy me flowers? Why didn't he invite me to that restaurant? Why? And now I tell to my boyfriend, so my birthday, I want this dress. I want flowers of this kind. I want this restaurant at this time. And I want that to be like really well thought through by you. And you need to let me know ahead of time and I'll be there. He's like, okay, so happy. Like finally, I actually know how to please my woman because they actually want to do that.
Right.
And my life's so much better. I just tell people what I want and they just give it to me.
Sounds magical.
Right? This is the main, like the life hack. Just tell people what you want exactly without trying to be like, oh, maybe that. Exactly. And then they just actually do it. If they're good.
Thank you so much, Mariya. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, so much fun.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.